It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
And welcome back to The Busy Fan. It's been a while. I know I had shoulder surgery on my labrum, somewhere in the shoulder. And so it's been a little bit. Haven't been able to make a video for like 2 weeks now. But I'm excited to get back into it, back into the swing of things. And a lot has happened. A lot of exciting stuff has happened. We won't go through everything that's happened because the whole point of this is just that you know what to talk about today. So let's talk about what's been going on. So we'll start in the NBA. The NBA finals have been decided. It will be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat. Now, the Heat were like a 6th seed coming into this, and not very many people thought that they would make it this far. Most people, well, a lot of people thought the Lakers would, or the Clippers from the Western Conference, but I don't think anybody is surprised, I'd say, that the Lakers made it. So the Lakers are definitely the favorite going into this, but the Heat have been playing on fire recently. No pun intended, I guess. But the Heat have been playing like money. So I picked the Heat to lose in the first round to the Pacers, and they showed me what's up, and they definitely proved me wrong in that series. And since that point, I've been huge on the Heat, thinking that the Heat have just shown more potential and done way better in the bubble than anyone expected them to. So I think the Heat are a threat to be reckoned with by the Lakers. I don't think it's a team that they can take for granted. So the Heat, really what I think the secret to the Heat has been is the coaching. Eric Spoelstra, the Heat's coach, I think he's been the best coach in the bubble to this point. And I think he's definitely outcoached the Lakers coach, Frank Vogel, to this point. So that's a big swing in the Heat's favor. But obviously the Lakers have the more talented team. They have two of probably the top 5 players in the world on their team. And so that's tough to bet against. But I just think that the way the Heat have been working things, I don't know. I think that they'll come up with a good game plan against the Celtics. They would go back and forth between like their zone and man and kind of mix it up. I could see something like that happening again, but I don't think the zone will do as much damage to the Lakers as it did to the Celtics. I don't think that's like the only thing that they can do, but I trust Eric Spoelstra, and I think that he'll come up with a good game plan. I'm not really here to pick a winner for you. I'm more just telling you, what to expect, things that you can talk about. But if anybody just says the Lakers are going to walk through this, I think that they're wrong. I think that the Heat really just mainly the coaching and also the bench. Now that's the thing that I noticed throughout the playoffs was if you had a good bench, especially with the bubble, since that they had this huge break, people weren't rested and everything, coming back, the teams that had the better bench so they could rest their big players have done a lot better. The Lakers have a good bench. They have a lot of good people coming off the bench. Just to show that, JaVale McGee started at the beginning of this last series against the Nuggets with the Lakers. And then Dwight Howard just came off the bench and did all of these things. So the Lakers, they have a couple people coming off the bench. And the Heat, they have Tyler Hero, probably the best bench player still left in the bubble. And then in this last game against the Celtics, Iguodala really stepped up. He gets a lot of good minutes and does a lot of good things as a veteran, leading the team. But he's just not the point scorer or anything for the Heat. But he scored double digits in this last game to close out the Celtics. So I think the benches are huge. I give the edge to the Heat a little bit here just because Tyler Hero is insane and has been playing insane. So he'll provide a big spark off the bench. I think it'll be a great series. Don't let anyone tell you anything's different. But that's kind of what we're looking for with the Heat and Lakers going forward. I think it'll be a good series. I mean, you got to give the edge to the Lakers because they're so talented, but do not be surprised if the Heat put up a good fight. And I think they could pull out a win in this, or win the series, not a win. Of course, I think they will definitely win a game, but I think they have a chance of winning the series. So that's what's going on in the NBA. That's what you can talk to people about. Make sure that they know that you know what's happening in the NBA, and you know that the finals is the Lakers and the Heat. And for the reasons I just said, it will be a good series. So now let's move over to the NFL. I'm pulling up the standings here. There's a lot of it's very young in the NFL season, right? So a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can change. I think some of the big points to make right now is kind of like who's ahead of each conference. So I'll talk a little bit about that. The Bills won today. They beat the Rams 35-32. There's kind of a controversial pass interference near the end of the game there, but they ended up winning. And so now they're ahead of that league. They look good, or that division. They've looked good these last couple of years, but really, like, that's just been the Patriots division. And so kind of nice to see somebody else up there for a change. And then Chiefs and Raiders are tied for the top of the AFC West right now. Again, we're 3 games in. Who's at the top doesn't matter that much. But, the Chiefs are actually at the top because they're 2-0 and the Raiders are 2-1, but both have 2 wins up there. The AFC North is looking better than people thought, I think. The Steelers and Ravens are up at the top. Steelers 3-0, Ravens 2-0. The Browns are 2-1, and then the Bengals are 2-1. And then I do want to touch real fast on the AFC South. That is interesting because the Texans were a lot of people's Super Bowl pick coming into this year. They're 0-3 so far. Not a great start for the Texans right now. So that's everything that's happening in the AFC. Now, I don't really want to bore you by going into everything that's happening in the NFC. Let's talk about some of the big games that happened this week and what they mean. So Raiders-Patriots was a really big one. The Raiders looked really good this last week. I think they played on Monday night against the Saints, and they looked awesome and pulled off a win there. So this is kind of a big game, seeing Patriots and Raiders both have looked pretty good going far. Who's legit, who isn't. Honestly, they're both pretty legit. The Patriots won that one 36-20, so good for them. I mean, bad for the rest of the league who's tired of watching the Patriots dominate, but they're still really good. Like I said, the Texans lost today. They lost to the Steelers, who are 3-0, so they're looking really good. Panthers, Chargers. The Panthers pulled off the win there, so that's their first win of the season. That's Justin Herbert's second loss of the season. A lot of people know that he became the starter last week, 5 minutes before the game. They walked up to him and were like, hey, you're starting this game, because their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, was getting an injection in his chest and his lung collapsed. And so at the last second, they had to put Herbert in there. So, I mean, he's shown a lot of good promise. He threw 1 pick, had 1 touchdown this game, but he's I don't think it means too much against him. Seahawks-Cowboys was a shootout. The Seahawks won 38-31 in that one. Russell Wilson is the MVP candidate so far. He's the top of the top right now. He threw 5 touchdowns in this game. The Cowboys, on the other hand, Dak Prescott, he threw for almost 500 yards, so he's balling out that way. He did have 3 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions, so that's tough for the Cowboys there. But definitely a super exciting game when you have a shootout like that, 38-31. And then finally, let's talk about the Packers and Saints. That was the big Sunday night football game. That another shootout. The kind of the talk of that game was, and afterwards they were talking to Aaron Rodgers about this. The Packers won 37-30, and this is the first time Aaron Rodgers has won at the Saints' home. And a lot of people were talking about how lack of fans was a huge benefit for Aaron Rodgers in this game. He got them to jump off sides a couple times, and usually in that atmosphere, you can't even, there is no snap count. It's a silent snap because it's just so loud and nobody can hear anything. So that kind of played to their favor. I think, I don't think the Saints think that's why they lost the game, but definitely would have been an advantage for them. Aaron Rodgers has been balling out. He looked like he was having fun out there, man. He 21 out of 32, 283 yards. The big play, and what people are probably going to be talking about from this game, is at the end, they took Drew Brees out, put Taysom Hill in for a wildcat play. They do that all the time with Taysom. And he fumbled, and the Packers picked it up and were able to go and score a touchdown and basically seal the game for them. So that's what's been going on in the sports world. I'm sorry I haven't been here for a while, but happy to be back, and thanks for still being a busy fan.